Hey there, Chris from the Old Man Cycling Show. Welcome to another episode. This is the Lower Providence Criterium. You're probably wondering what the photo advertising this video was about. Let me fill you in on that. So the Wednesday before this race, which was on a Sunday, I had a little spill. My tire rolled off of my rim. Going around a corner about 30 miles an hour, and I basically got some good road rash. So I have to say, being an old man and getting that road rash, I don't know how the pros do it. I took 2 days off. I took Thursday and Friday off. I rode lightly Saturday, and I did this race on Sunday. And as I'm recording this video, I'm taking a few more days off. My leg is absolutely killing me. So just a little heads up. I mean, kudos to the pros. Those guys are tough. You know, I don't know how I would ride for continuous days on what I have now. Again, I'm an old man, but at the same point in time, it hurts. So with that said, before we get into the race, let me ask you as always, please subscribe to the channel. I get a lot of views of my videos, but I don't have nearly the number of subscribers that I have people that view my video. So it doesn't take much, doesn't hurt. Just click that subscribe button, click the little bell icon so you get notified every time I post a video, as well as please click on a like if you like it, leave me comments, whatever. So the race is about to start. This is the Masters 55 Plus. This is the third race that I'm doing, and this is the first one that has no neutral lap. So you can see right from the start, the race is on. But nobody really takes off just yet. Everybody's sort of settling, getting clipped in, getting into their pedals. So we come to turn one. So this course, as you can see in the outline in the lower left, it's basically 4 corners. That's all it is. None of the turns are really bad. The road surface is good. You know, a lot of the turns, as you'll see going on in the race, you know, we're going 3 or 4 across. It's really not bad. There was one crash in the Cat 5 race early. You'll see when we come up to turn 3. I'm sorry, turn 4. There's new macadam on the inside of the turn, and somebody hit that and I guess got nervous and sort of slid out, you know, to the left side and took out about 10 people. So, you know, but it's an easy course. There's my teammate, Steve W. I was really fortunate to have Steve in for the whole race. You'll know he was in the Pottstown crit, but he had to drop after about 5 or 6 laps because he had a flat. So here's turn 2. Again, nothing difficult about the turn, nice and wide. You can go, you know, multiples across. You just saw 3 people across in front of me. A couple times he came through there 4. Now between turns 2 and 3, you can see I'm at 0 watts right now. There was a lot of sort of regrouping there. People were coasting after coming down a little bit of a decline from turn 1 to 2. Now here at turn 3, again, not a difficult turn, but this is the slight rise on the course. So this is where if you want to attack and you want to make up space, you'll see this happen a couple times during the race. This is where you can put some power down and you can move up, or you can drop back. It's not a difficult incline, it's not a long incline, but it is the incline on the course. And we're coming up to turn 4. So as you come, and again, I'm behind my teammate Steve, which I really was glad to have a teammate with me for the race. It was a lot of fun being with Steve. As you come up to turn 4, look in the inside, so to the right of the picture at the sewer grate, you'll see some fresh black macadam. You know, in the right there. As the Cat 5 race was going on, somebody hit that, and like I said, they panicked and took a hard left and wiped out, I don't know, at least 10 people. I saw 2 broken bike frames, lots of taco tires, but in this race, you know, none of that. So now we're on our second lap. This was a shorter race. This was 15 miles, so 15 laps. So it was a good fast race. I think I ended up averaging about just about 26 miles an hour. And again, having a teammate here, Steve, he is just no other way to describe it but an animal. He raced 3 races this day, and he just can go. He's just strong, very consistent. I don't think he ever gets tired. But anyway, it was fun to have Steve in race, and one of the things I really wanted to do in this race, based on my previous 2 races, is I wanted to make sure I stayed in the draft. I worked really hard to, you know, force my position, try to move in where I could, really assert myself to get on a wheel, whether it was Steve's wheel or someone else's wheel. I really wanted to keep out of the wind as much as I could. And you can see it makes a huge difference. I mean, I'm putting out no watts whatsoever, and I'm doing, 23, 24, 25 miles an hour. Again, this is the stretch between turns 2 and 3. You would get a little bit of an accordion effect here. People would come back in, people would go out. Still on the early laps, people are sort of feeling their way through it, determining what they want to do. It's still pretty grouped up. Nobody's really taken off just yet. Everybody's sort of riding along. As you look up here, you'll see people going up the straight, but the pace car is up there at the front. There's nobody away. They're just in front of this string of riders. So everybody's sort of just getting into it. And you'll see as the race goes on, there'll be some people that surge off the front. But I don't want to spoil anything. We'll take it as it comes. So again, riding, I felt really happy. I definitely learned from my other 2 races, to get into the slipstream of the rider in front of me. The only time I really didn't was right here. The wind's at our back, so there was a slight breeze. It wasn't strong, but it was a very favorable breeze. But again, having Steve there was great. I had a target to sit on, and some of the other riders that I've known from other races, I would get on their wheels as well. So now everybody's sort of settling in. We're just starting lap 3, and now everybody sort of knows what's going on, sort of getting a feel for it. I think the first attack's going to come pretty soon. We'll see the pace car go up, and I believe it was 1 or 2 riders went off the front. So this is the slight downhill section between turns 2 and 3. Again, you can see I'm really doing a nice job of staying in a draft. I'm not putting out any watts, but I'm still doing 24 miles an hour, being towed along by Steve. It's a pretty cool feeling. Definitely an energy saver. And this truck was always an indicator that you're coming up to turn 2. So now we come through turn 2, and you can see, I got a person to my right, person to my left. Never any real panic. That was another good thing. I'm getting a lot more acclimated to riding in crowds. So now I decided I was going to move up a little bit, maybe help Steve a little bit, share the load with Steve. So I moved up. Steve's probably just behind me, and you'll probably see him come around me again pretty quickly. But I just wanted to come up. Steve had been helping me out, give him a little break. We come through this turn, and I believe it's on between this turn and right after turn 4, I believe 1 or 2 guys go off the front. Again, there's some surges on here. This was a good spot to attack, this little rise. You could go and open up a gap pretty quickly and carry that speed up into turn 4 up here, and there were a couple times people went off here. Yeah, it looks like everybody's still together. Still have to do a little bit better of carrying consistent speed through the turns. You'll notice that just about every turn I come out of, I got a big power surge. I want to be able to carry more speed through the turn and not the surge out of every turn. I am happy that I can put the power down, but I think if I was able to take a little bit more wheel and speed through it, I wouldn't have to accelerate out of it. So let's see this one. That wasn't too bad. I stayed pretty even. I got a good draft on this guy. A lot of it is sometimes I feel like I'm closing on the guy too front. My bike coasts so fast. I feel like I'm closing on the guys too front. I might have a tendency just to scrub a little speed with just a light touch of the brakes, and then I got to make up for it, as I come out of the turn. But that's something to work on. But again, the key here was I was really, really trying to stay in a draft. Really didn't want to expose myself to the wind. Didn't want to go out front. So I think for the most part, I'm doing a pretty good job of that. Again, this was just the normal regrouping that happened between turns 2 and 3. You can't see in the picture yet, but I think this is where 2 guys went off the front. Because as we make the turn for turn 3, you'll see that the car is up the road a little bit, I believe. bad angle for seeing where the car is, but this was a really fun race. I mean, it was, you know, real nice course, real easy corners to go through. Wasn't crowded, wasn't technical. It was just fun to ride. You know, you could put your power out and you could ride through things. Enjoyed it. I think at the start there might have been 42 or 44 people, somewhere along there. Now we're back in the finishing straight. You'll see the white line across the road, right there. That's the start-finish line. Now we're coming back up to turn 1. And at this point, there's 2 guys off the front and 1 guy chasing them. But still no panic in the group. It's early in the race. Doesn't seem like a whole lot of possibility of that brake staying. But it does take a few laps to bring it all back together again, which was sort of good. Everybody just kept going along, and you know, nobody flying, everybody chasing. It was just a steady pace to get back to where everybody was together. Here comes Steve, number 344. Let's see, I'll try to slide over and get on Steve's wheel coming through this turn. I think at this point there's somebody right on my right side who's actually on Steve's wheel. I took that turn a little wide, and you can see at that point again I was concerned about you know, closing too fast within the turn. Now Steve's starting to move up. You see how I'm following him. I have to say, just another time, it was great riding with Steve. Just a really, really strong rider. Good sense of positioning, good sense of when to go, and an absolute great person to drive behind. So this was the other thing you can see. I have a little space between Steve's back wheel and my wheel. People will tend to take advantage of this. So at this point, I told Steve to go up to the group ahead of us. I didn't want to let that group open up because that was a good group. That was well represented, even though it's early in the race. If these guys had a gap, they would have worked together well. Steve did a great job, shut it down. I came up alongside him and told him it was good. We all stayed together, and now this group is going to go, and we're going to catch the guys that are off the front. Sorry about that. So there's still 2 or 3 guys off the front. You can see some guys are accelerating to try to catch up to there. No reason to panic yet. Just ride steady and it'll come back together. You see we're carrying some good speed. You can just see the guys up ahead. They're not far. So like I was saying earlier, there's no reason to panic yet. So when this guy went to go catch him, I decided, yep, I'll go get on his wheel. Looks like a good target to draft behind. So I got in behind him. He did a good job shutting down a lot of the distance. I probably should have stayed better in that corner. Taken a little bit better line and stayed on his wheel more, but got back on pretty quick. Now I came around him, you know, chased back onto the group. Just felt, you know, it was good to just keep going, shut this down, bring everybody back together. The one thing about being out front, it is cool. You get to pick your line. You don't have to worry about, you know, holding tight or swinging out or doing anything like that. So that's pretty enjoyable. There goes Joe, Steve again. So again, this is up the slight rise. I let a little gap go between Steve and me, but I wasn't worried about it. I knew it was going to come back on the straightaway or right after that. There you can see I'm already back on the wheel behind Steve. So everything came back together and somebody launched a counterattack. This one didn't really stay too long. That was a nice thing about, you know, this square or rectangular course like this. You know, it was wide roads, it was open roads. You could see everything that was going on in front of you. You know, so you really knew whether you were going to have a problem or not. So this was a fun race. Now we're all just sort of moving along, getting through the corner. I forget this one. Steve might actually be on the front again, pulling things back together. I know at one point he did come back past me. I'm trying to remember if this was the point. I think that might be him up on the front left. Yep, it is. So we're coming back to the start-finish again. Sorry, there's a little interruption in the recording. My dog decided that she wanted to come in and help me with the recording. Oh no, I'm sorry. We're going up to the rise. We're coming to turn 4. Here's turn 4. That's right. So now we're coming back into the finish again. So again, you know, from a strategy point of view, think I did a lot better this race. I did conserve energy. I wasn't out in the wind as much. There were a few times where, you know, I would go to the front or up to the front, just off of it to try to pull things along. But that wasn't bad. That didn't affect me. What really affected me is, you know, I have to say, like I said at the beginning, the picture at the beginning of the video was some road rash that I got on a Wednesday night before this. And you know, I have to say, you do feel it. Definitely, as you know, this was my first effort since the crash. You know, I had dressings on the road rash, but the one on my hip especially, you know, I could feel it as I was pedaling. I could feel it moving. I could feel it rubbing. And after the race, you know, all the dressings I had on it were off of the road rash, and you know, to get descriptive, it was definitely weeping a little bit. But now the guy that's just 2 bikes ahead of me now, coming up to him now, that's a guy named Joe. I met him at the first race I did. Super nice guy. He and his team had several people in the race. So as I came by Joe there, I said, "Come on, let's go up and catch Steve." And I think Joe sort of said, "Not really interested in doing it at the moment." So I came up here, decided to ride with Steve. Came up the hill a little bit. You know, my thinking was, hey, Steve's been doing a lot of work. I know I'm not going to have a big finish. So at this point I was thinking, hey, if I can help Steve out, give Steve a little bit of a break. You know, I do have a good footprint on the road, so you know, if Steve's able to draft off of me and just get a little bit of rest, it might be better for him. There's one guy off the front. You'll see pretty soon a couple of riders will come around me. And again, at this point, this wasn't hurting. This wasn't hurting me to try to get up there. I was fine. And as these guys came past, probably would have been a good thing to jump on their wheel, but at the same point in time, I didn't want to expend that much energy right away. So you can see my power through that straight stretch was pretty consistent. It didn't really peak or drop. And now again on this part, you know, things are semi coming back together. So here was the leader that was off by himself, and these two guys, they'll stay out in front for a little bit. There's the turn 2 marker was the semi-trailer. So you always knew you were coming up to turn 2. And again, I really enjoyed this feeling of, you know, taking whatever line you wanted. It was nice. Steve's back in front of me. I can't get on his wheel right now because you can't see it in this picture, but there's a guy to my immediate right. So I'm just sort of waiting for my ability to get in there. Now when Steve moves over like that, there was a guy that was to my right. You can see that he frees up. Now this is where, I think it's coming up soon, you know, I was happy with my bike handling. This is where my confidence was coming back. You know, I didn't have any trouble like squeezing through openings, or, you know, in that turn we were pretty much three abreast. No issues with that. So I drifted back a little bit on the rise. Nothing too concerning. It was funny, while this was going on, I'm riding this, you know, in my mind I'm thinking, hey, this is great, I really like this course, it's really fast. And then reality of the situation started to hit in, excuse me, and you know, I knew I wasn't going to have a super strong finish, but, you know, my goal was to stay in the top half of the pack, stay up near the front. And I did that. I never went off the back of the pack or anything like that. I always was in what I would consider like the top half, top 2/3 of the pack. And you could move around pretty easily if you wanted to. If you wanted to put out a little power, you could do that. And certainly, I didn't feel like I had any ability to go off the front and stay there, so I never did. Now here's another example of the turn. You can see we're nice and wide. I have the most inside. Came through it okay. And now I decide, you know, I want to move up a little bit. So here I do put a little bit of a surge in. Try to move up on the inside. And actually, you know, anytime trying to do a move like that, like, you could do it. It wasn't impossible to do. It is really fun to watch the replay of your race from this perspective. You can sort of see all the little things. Like again here, you know, I probably should have gotten right up on that wheel as soon as that person came by me, because you know, once you lose that initial surge, you got to put out so much more to get back on it. So my thought process there was, okay, I'm going to keep going, and eventually the accordion will come back in, and you'll see things will start to bunch up. And then you're right back where you wanted to be. But there were other times where, you know, you wanted to put a little bit of power and move up a little bit, just to be out of the crowd.
So 2 riders.
Back to turn 1. Next time I make a video, I'm definitely going to put the cadence in there too. I tended this race to not change the gears as much, but to just change my cadence. You know, my cadence would go anywhere from, you know, mid 90s up to over 120. Probably could have done a little bit better at gearing and kept a steadier cadence, but for whatever reason, I just figured I'd pedal faster. So I think that'd be pretty neat to see, you know, as one of the outputs here where you put your overlay on. The guy there, when he waved his hand, I was just saying, you know, there's people walking on the road on the left side up here, and you saw we just went past them. So that's the other good thing, you know, when you're riding with experienced people like this, you don't have to worry about things. People will point things out, whether it's in the road, whether it's to the side of the road. There are marshals around, so if there was an accident or anything like that, you'd know. Here I'm coming up on the outside.
Outside, Joe. Outside, Joe.
And again, you can see, you know, once you get on a wheel or you get in there, you can just see that you know, you can really reduce your power and maintain speed. The other thing to notice is my heart rate. That's the one in the middle right now. Right now it's between 169 and 170. If I really am doing like an intense workout, you know, I can sometimes get over 180, you know, 181, 182. But you know, when I'm hitting 170, I'm pretty much close to my max heart rate. So you know, you'll start to tire out. Even though this was a short race, I probably could have used taking one of my gel blocks during it for a little bit more added energy, because it was, you know, there was some intensity there, but I didn't do that. I don't know if it would have made any difference or not, because I think the wound on my leg was going to impact me more than any lack of energy. So, you know, as you're watching home, you're probably like, well, you know, all they're really doing is going around in squares. I would say circles, but it's a square, it's a rectangular course. But there, you know, there's just like, I'm watching myself as this goes on and just noticing little things here and there, noticing how I'm spaced behind the rider in front of me, whether I'm in the middle, whether I stay on the wheel in a turn. Like you can see, I drifted outside of the guy in the blue and the black shorts right ahead of me, and then somebody came in behind me, so I didn't follow his line through the corner. I took my own line, so I can do a little bit better job there. It's always these little things. Like that's, you know, this is my third race of the year. I don't consider myself being critical of what I did. I'm just trying to learn so I do better. You know, that's the whole goal of everything. And again, I'm taking this opportunity to try to move up a little bit. So still going long. Coming back to the start-finish line, turn one. We're getting pretty close to the end of the race here. You know, as I said, it was a fast race. It was only 15 miles, so it was 15 laps. So you know, it was pretty surprising. We were going along, and I was next to Joe, and we heard the referee shout out, you know, 4 to go. I'm like, 4 to go already? So you know, I guess time flies when you're having fun. So with 4 to go, and I don't think we're there yet. I probably should have had a mileage indicator as well. That's another good one to add, or a lap counter. That was the other thing. I really wanted to hit the lap counter on my GPS, but in the moment, you know, if it's not sitting there stuck in your forethought, you know, when you're in the moment and going along, it's the last thing you think about, right? The last thing I thought of was taking my hand off the handlebar and hitting a button on my GPS head unit to count a lap. But for future reference, you know, that would be a good thing, or mileage, so it makes it easier as I'm doing a commentary on the race to let you know where we are. Now I'm trying to think ahead. This might be a lap where we'll come around, you know, we're coming up to turn 4 right now. We come around turn 4, and there was a particular lap where, as we came around turn 4, there was a guy to my right, a guy to my left, and the guy to my right, for whatever reason, swerved. to his left, which made me swerve to my left, which made, you know, sort of a chain reaction. Whoa, what are you doing type thing. So I'm back on Steve's wheel now. Now I don't think this is the lap that did it. You see, you know, another little mistake. I didn't get right up on his wheel, so this guy here in the orange, you know, sort of came up and slid in front of me. So when Steve came by, I should have put that little extra effort in to get on his wheel, because, you know, it's only going to be a 2 or 3 second burst, and then you're going to recover because you're going to be able to drop back down to you know, very little output as you're in a draft. I'm guessing that based upon the time and where we are, because the whole race was about 35 minutes of effort. We're getting close to the end, being that I don't have a lap counter as I'm doing this. Yeah, so I think we have a couple laps left. Just saw Joe right here come through. So now, you know, my target is to stay on Joe's wheel, see if I can give Steve a little bit of a break. See, we're coming up here into turn 4. Good length there. The guy was trying to slip off the front. So we actually might be on the bell lap starting now. So it's either the bell lap or 2 to go. I think this is the bell lap. You saw Steve just flew by on this side there. Again, just really was a pleasure riding with him. Super strong, just fun to talk to as well, but just a good guy. So you can probably tell at this point I am feeling a little bit, even though it was only 15 miles, I'm feeling a little bit tired, sore. You know, it's hard. I didn't ride for during that week at all, except for one semi-hard effort until I crashed on Wednesday night. Until you know, I did some laps around this course on Saturday and then did the race Sunday. So you know, it's definitely something you have to stay at. You have to keep riding to be used to it. You take a little bit of time off from it. So now you can see everything's sort of coming back again. The accordion effect. Everybody's getting ready for that last kick. So I believe this will be the last time up this little stretch. Follow whoever I can up here, move up a little bit. But at this point, you know, Steve's up there. I can't be of any help to him. I'm never going to catch back to him. I'm just trying to finish as strong as I can. And again, there's Joe right in front of me. I was trying to follow Joe because I know this is the final sprint. Joe has a good kick. So I was like, hey, if I can get up to Joe. I mean, Joe did well. Steve did well. You'll see Steve right up here on the left side. Well, actually, as I come around, he'll be on my right side. So now the race is over. Good finish. What I want to say before we wrap up here is, again, hopefully you enjoyed this. I did learn a lot. I learned, you know, getting into draft. See, it got my heart rate up to 173. If you liked the video, click on the like. Please subscribe to the channel. Click on the bell icon to get notified every time we have a new video, and hopefully you got some insight into racing and my progress. So this is Chris from the Old Man Cycling Show saying thanks for watching and peace.